Oke, mudah-mudahan sudah bisa terlihat.
Sudah, Pak.
Dan sudah bisa terdengar.
Is
Tamu kita
here.
sudah hadir, Dr. Gelder?
Yes, I'm here.
Fine. Oh, here you are. Okay.
Nice to meet you too.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks a lot for having me.
Okay,
Good morning. I think. Yes, please. No.
Yeah, we will wait. Bella to open the our student course.
Oh, okay. So I need to change my background into a proper one. Well, let's see.
Okay, Bella, are you? Bella is having a little problem with her connection. Bella, wait. Okay. Okay, 1 second. Okay, since Bella is having trouble with her connection, maybe I will open this student course. So, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you are doing well. Welcome to the third student course about Paleo sea level and coastal modeling held by Oceanography study program. My name is Rima Rachmayani, and today I will act as a moderator for this student course. And hopefully Bella will join us soon as Master of Ceremony in this afternoon. So in this beautiful moment, I would like to welcome Dr. Gino, the Gelder from ISterre, University of Grenoble-Alpes, as our lecturer today. And Dr. Irwan Meilano as Dean of Faculty of Earth Sciences and Teknologi, Institut Teknologi Bandung. And in this special afternoon, we will have several agendas. So allow me to read several sequences of our agendas. Committee, please, next to the next slide. Next slide. Okay, so we will have the opening and student course rules. opening speech by the Dean of Faculty of Earth Sciences and Technology. And then we will have early photo session with Pak Irwan in case Pak Irwan has another important agenda to be attended. And then introduction of the speaker, profile by myself, presentation session by the lecturer, of course, Dr. Gino de Gelder. And then after that, we will have Q&A session guided by me, and then closing. So before we move to the next agenda, there are several rules that we need to follow for our today's student course. Komite, can you go back to the previous slide? Yes, so for participant, please change your display name to your agency or university _ name. And then you must turn off the microphone during the presentation. And then it's optional to turn on your camera. And hopefully you can use the virtual background that has been provided. So we can have early photo with Pak Irwan and also Dr. Gino. And during the Q&A session, the participant can use raise hand features for asking the question. And then I will allow the participant to turn on the microphone and ask question. And then the attendance list will be sent via chat box after the presentation session by the lecturer. Okay, so maybe without any further ado, let's step forward to the following agenda. That is opening speech from Pak Dr. Irwan Meilano, the Dean of Faculty of Earth Sciences and Technology, Institut Teknologi Bandung. The time is yours, Pak Irwan.
Oke, selamat sore. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bapak Ibu sekalian, saudara-saudara sekalian, para peserta acara guest lectures. Terima kasih Ibu Dr. Rima. Ibu Dr. Rima merangkap sebagai koordinator, MC, moderator, segala hal bisa dilaksanakan oleh Ibu Dr. Rima. Good morning, bonjour, Dr. Gelder. Thank you for spending your morning with us. I believe today temperature is very nice in Grenoble, maybe 10 to 12 degrees, a very good timing for cycling. We are honored to be your Riset collaborators. Today, public lectures will focus on the Paleo sea levels and coastal modelings. And we are very lucky to have Dr. Gelder with us today. He is the expert on the evolutions of large-scale active tectonic system on different spatio-temporal scales. Kuliah umum ini merupakan salah satu dari rangkaian kegiatan dalam program Nusantara, skema riset Kemitraan Dasar 2021, kolaborasi dengan peneliti luar negeri, the University of Nice, dan ISterre Prancis, dan kolaborasi dengan peneliti dalam negeri di Pusat Riset Geoteknologi BRIN dan Pusat Riset Kelautan KKP. This public lecture is one of the series of activities in the Nusantara programs, the 2021 Basic Partnership Research Scheme, collaboration with foreign researchers at the University of Nice and ISterre France, and collaboration with domestic researchers at the Geotechnology Research Center, BRIN, the National Research and Innovation Agency, and the Marine Research Center, Ministry of Marine Affairs and Fisheries. Dr. Gelder expertise include a particular interest in coastal geomorphology and the way uplifting coastline record both tectonic and climatic processes. This is very interesting. The integrations of onshore with offshore tectonic processes and the long-term paleoseismological record contained within the sedimentary basins. And outside of his professional career, Dr. Gelder also dedicating his time to sportive activities and traveling, such as cycling. His cumulative kilometer is already more than 13,000 kilometers. Very amazing. So without further ado, allow me to open this public lectures. Terima kasih dan selamat mengikuti webinar. Semoga Anda mendapatkan manfaat dari kegiatan siang ini, sore ini. Again, Dr. Gelder, thank you for spending your time with us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Pak Irwan. for the opening speech, and of course for always supporting our program within the Nusantara project. So as I mentioned before, we have to take a photo session with Pak Irwan as a dean and also Dr. Gino. To the participant, could you open your camera? And our committee will help us to capture this moment. Okay. Okay, I will count to 3. Okay. Okay, committee, get ready to capture this moment. Yes, we will wait for a couple seconds. Okay. 1, 2, 3, cheese. Okay, we have 3 pages, so another cheese. 1, 2, 3, cheese. And the last one. 1, 2, 3, cheese. Okay, thank you, everybody. So the next agenda is my introduction for Gino, actually, but luckily Pak Irwan has introduced Gino. So I think I don't need to introduce more about Gino. So basically, Gino will introduce us about the Paleo sea level and coastal modeling, as mentioned earlier. So maybe it sounds very interesting from the title, and maybe a bit complex for some of us. So, however, I'm sure Gino will make us easier to understand with his presentation, which is about to begin. So let's put an attention on Gino's talk, and you could ask any question to his presentation during Q&A session. To Gino, you have approximately 60 minutes for your presentation. Time is yours, Gino.
Okay, thank you. I will share my screen. Okay, you can see my screen.
Yes, you can see your screen.
Okay, good. Then I'll start. So first of all, yeah, thank you very much for for inviting me here. It's really an honor to give this lecture to you. Thanks also for the introduction. I very much appreciate that as well. So I'm going to be talking today about paleo sea level and coastal modeling. As you could hear from the introduction, I also have an interest in tectonics. But from what I saw, I quickly went through some of the previous lecture. I saw that Dr. Tubagus already went a little bit into the tectonic side. So I'm really going to focus on the sea level side and coastal modeling, which is also something I've been working on over the past years. So just a little overview how today's lecture going to look like. So first of all, there will be a part about paleo sea level. I'll give a bit of an introduction on the historic context, the main drivers behind sea level changes, and why it is important to look at sea level. Then I'll go into oxygen isotopes and sea level. So oxygen isotopes, that's more or less the classic way in which sea level changes are indirectly recorded. So I'll go a bit into that. Then I'll go into relative sea level indicators, really at the coastlines, what we can see about how past sea levels is recording on the coast. And then I'll go into the modeling part, just basically showing some examples, both of work that I did in that respect, and also some colleagues that I think are interesting to share and tell you about. So, in terms of historic context, it's been known since a very, very long time that either the sea level has been going up and down or the land has been going up and down. So it was really already very long ago. People realized when going up into the mountains, you would find little shells and fossils that were obviously formed at the seafloor, but now high up in the mountains. So even this is a picture from Mount Everest. And there, like some of the first people who climbed there, John Mallory from New Zealand and all, they were working together with geologists who really were wondering how come at the highest place on Earth we could still find these little fossils that came from the seafloor. So that has really intrigued people for a very long time. Now, the earliest sort of ideas about sea level changes comes from, in fact, from the Holocene. In Holocene, there was an important phase of sea level rise that really
Thank you very much.
Pak Tubagus. Okay. Okay, for the student, is there any question? I think Gino wouldn't mind if the question, like basic question or technical question, is that okay, Gino?
Everything is okay, of
yes,
course.
so please, to the student, anyone could raise your hand. Don't be shy. You could ask anything to Gino. Maybe I see there is Mas Taufan Wiguna from Geologi. Kan, Mas? Mas Taufan? Okay. Anyone with question? Otherwise, I have one question. Actually, it's remind me to my result on the how the Greenland ice sheet contribute to the high global sea level during the interglacial of Miss 5E and Miss 11, as you showed earlier in the very beginning of your slide. Like it is your result. Like you have some peaks of your sea level from present to Miss something.
You mean this or no?
No, the other next. I forgot which slide, which showing that you have the sea level. I'm just wondering whether you have like because you mentioned earlier that the climate, the climate also influence.
This one?
Yes, this one. So you have lower sea level during Miss 5E. How your result on the Miss 5E and Miss 11? Can you describe from this figure?
Yeah. So of course, so this is just using those sea level curves based on oxygen isotope ratios. They have quite some like wide range of MIS5E. So later I was showing you another figure that had much smaller ranges that was saying like 5E was between like 6 and 9 meters on a global scale. So those estimates, they come directly from coastlines. So they look at places that are more or less stable, so not so tectonically active, and they're saying like, okay, this is sort of the range that we get if we take into account dynamic topography and all that. Yeah, so I think specifically for these high stands, most people would agree that it's best to use those to use the data really from coastlines, from sea levels. Yeah. But of course, like we can only do that for a few periods. So for this MIS5E, for this MIS11, yeah, we can constrain that from the coastlines. But for many of these others, it's very difficult. So there is basically not many alternatives but to use the oxygen isotope curves. And of course, like the advantage of those curves is that they're completely continuous instead of being just a few scattered data points. So yeah, but I think both of these options. I try to show at least they come with many assumptions and some uncertainties, but well, this is basically now the state of the art on what we know, and we should use both of those methods and try and compare and try to improve. Yeah.
Okay, so basically this is from the coastline changes.
This is from oxygen isotopes, and then there was another figure a little later on. Yeah, so this one is really from coastline coastline observations. So here you can see just focusing on a few periods. So this is much narrower. Here they have a very narrow idea. I'm not sure how reliable to go, but I mean at least we have a much better idea from relative sea level from coastlines for those specific periods.
Okay, thank you, Gino. Okay, any question? Mas Taufan mau nanya, silakan mahasiswa, tidak perlu malu, bertanya saja apa saja boleh sama Gino. Ada Pak ISterre juga, Pak Ai mau nanya. Mas Taufan ada? Okay, there's one question from Bella. Please, Bella.
Okay, can you hear my voice clearly?
Yes,
Yes.
Bella.
Okay, sorry if I can turn on my camera. First of all, thank you for Gino for your explanation about the Paleo sea level. It's very interesting topic, and I would like to ask some question. Maybe it's kind of basic question, but what's the best model for modeling of this sea level rise? Because I have read some paper about sea level rise in mid-Holocene, and it used the GIA or GIA models. I don't know how to pronounce that. So maybe is there any modeling type for this sea level rise, for Paleo sea level rise, or maybe which one is the best for the modeling of sea level rise? Because I'm kind of interested with this Paleo sea level rise topic. So maybe it can help me in the future. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a good question. So I guess most of the models that I'm using are on slightly longer time scales. So really on some, the like larger scale cycles of several thousands or 100,000s of years. I'm not an expert on the Holocene models, but I'm sure they are there because obviously it's a very relevant topic. But I'm sure they come with more, more subtlety in the parameters. Looking at specific cases, so I don't know. So like, it depends really on what kind of problem or what kind of time scale, what kind of like spatial scale you want to look at, and also what kind of coastline. Of course, there's various models. Even there are specific ones for coral reefs, but also for mangroves, for instance. So yeah. There is this range. I'm not sure like how. So I would need to, I guess, understand better like what exactly you would want to do, and I could look at possibilities, I suppose.
Maybe as Bella mentioned, I think you mentioned about the GIA, the glacial, the glacial, So
okay,
whether is it should be included or how?
Yeah, so that's a separate class of models.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that depends on the purpose. And I guess in Indonesia, the effects of glacial isostatic adjustments are relatively small, for instance, because it's very far from the ice sheet. But still, if you look at the Holocene, it's different in Indonesia than when you go to the Caribbean in coral reefs. So there is a bit of an effect. I know there has been several studies of people doing that around the world. So I guess there you can find data on what are the best approximations of Holocene sea levels. I remember a few papers from the past years. I remember Rovere was looking at the mid-Holocene in Indonesia from coral reefs. I remember Meltzner was looking at Holocene variations in Belitung Island. So if you want, I can share some of those papers that I think will give a good starting point to look at GIA and sea level variations around those points in time.
Okay, thank you, Bella. Is there any question more?
I guess that's enough for now. And thank you, Gino, for your explanation.
Okay.
Thanks a lot for asking.
Okay, more question, please. Celine, Adele, Afan. Any more question? Okay, Mas Taufan ya. Silakan Mas Taufan.
Yes, thank you, Bu Rima.
Because I know that Mas Taufan is working also with the sea level from geologic side,
yes. Yeah. Okay, thank you. I have a question about your model. I see the model is always shows erosional when sea level rise. Is it right?
Yeah.
And what about when sea level drop? Is it the erosion exists or not?
It exists, but it's very little. At least so. So if you take this sort of input, these laws, you can imagine if you have if you have sea level that's dropping, you continuously have like you're making your coastline very, very shallow, and with shallow coastlines, it's difficult to have this horizontal erosion taking place. So you have some in the vertical, but very little in the horizontal. So in the end, if you add those factors up, when sea level is changing, you end up having very little erosion. So because here you can see a little bit when you see sea level drop, you can hardly see it. So I guess because of those erosion laws, you would not expect when sea level is dropping, there shouldn't be much erosion. It's really during sea level rise where you continuously open more space for those waves to carve out the coastlines. Is where by far most of the erosion is going to occur.
Okay, Pak Mas Taufan, is it clear enough or you have more question?
Clear, Bu. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, next. Dimas, would you like to ask question? Dimas. Michael Bertrand. Salsabila. Please raise your hand. Or Pak Tubagus, do you have any question to Gino?
I'm on call, Bu Rima. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, siap. Okay, Gino. Maybe I have one other question related to the Indonesian map that you showed that maybe later on Lorong will explain in details. Yes.
Yeah.
So okay. So okay. I thought this was like the Paleo coral reefs. So this is the present. Okay. You have also the Paleo in blue. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. So you mentioned again. So this is anything to do with the sea level during this 2 different time, right? But focusing on the uplifting rate.
I think like this is just to give. I think the map is just to give an indication of how many fossilized reefs you find around Indonesia and how much living reefs. I think for the large scale calculations on the budget, they were mostly focusing on the present day coral reef as sort of the best indication, because of course many of the fossilized coral reefs are not preserved anymore. So what you see is just a minimum of what would be there.
Okay.
But probably at some point there was much more, but because of erosion, many of this removed. So I think for these calculations, they mostly use the present day reef and like how big is the volume, and then adapting for all the slopes that you find on the average around the sea is a very rough approximation. And for the range of uplift rates, both Laurent and Kevin Padoja and then several others also. Professor Yuda, they were looking at all these islands, measuring those coral reefs and trying to understand how fast places were moving up and down.
Yes. So because this is interesting because maybe like this uplift thing is like a local phenomena to the sea level rise, as far as I understood. So So maybe you can say that uplifting in Indonesia is like the dominant factor for the sea level rise, or how?
The thing is, sea level rise it comes in very different. So wait, I'm going to show you maybe. So I made actually. My collaborator Dilba was making this figure recently. Can you see this figure?
Yes.
Yeah, so she was making this figure recently because we are preparing like I think a small newspaper article for Indonesia to really look at the sea level rise. So if you look at tectonics, this is on the order of like in the very extreme cases 0.3 centimeters per year, but most of it is actually more like like 0.34 millimeters per year in Indonesia. So these are very slow changes over time. And I think overall, the western half of Indonesia is slowly going down because of tectonics, and the eastern half is moving up because of tectonics, but at very slow rates. So if you just look at what happens at the land, then of course this 21st century sea level rise, what you see around the world, has been around 0.3 centimeters per year, but until I think 2100 now, sort of the bad predictions, but well, they seem realistic, is around 1 centimeter per year. So this is a much bigger order of magnitude than most tectonic things. Maybe in some places you might have one individual earthquake that's going to bring place up and down, but overall in general, these sea level rise is going to be much faster than anything tectonic. And then of course, like in the big cities, I'm sure you all know, with Jakarta, you have this land subsidence, and that's again like a completely different order of magnitude. So the land is going down there extremely fast. So if you look at really what is happening to Indonesia now, like the sea level is rising probably faster than anything tectonic or geodynamic is going to be able to compensate. And this effect is much worse, obviously, in the very populated areas. So
Okay, thank you. Because I mean, since Biden mentioned that Jakarta will underwater, so it's quite a very hot issue related to the sea level rise in Indonesia. Okay, thank you, Gino. Okay, is there any question from the students, maybe related to Indonesia, to sea level rise in Jakarta or whatever, or more basic knowledge or technical, like I mean, I'm sure Gino is really good in kind of modeling, so maybe some of you also interesting to the coastal modeling, which I guess it's quite different from our oceanic modeling. So please, I have a lot of questions actually, but maybe we could discuss it later on.
Yeah, of course. One thing that I think is also maybe interesting to know for everyone is that I will probably move to Indonesia beginning of next year, so January or February, and I will live in Bandung for the next 1 or 2 years.
Yes.
So there's plenty of collaborations possible, or hopefully to see many of you in the future in person instead of behind the camera.
Okay, yes. So because Bandung is also now is like heavy raining, so maybe some of the participants also could not really connect to the internet. So, okay, so everybody, so if nothing more we can discuss, I think we could end the Q&A session, yeah. So thank you again to Gino, terima kasih banyak for your presentation. And as Gino mentioned that he will come to Indonesia for the postdoc position, and maybe we could meet personally at ITB with Pak Tubagus as well, Bu Yuda, and many more. So thank you again, Gino, and everybody for the participant. I hope you really enjoy the presentation, although it's quite complicated or complex. I know, but we could add some new knowledge regarding to the paleo sea level and coastal modeling. And to remind you that we will have another series of the student course, as Gino mentioned, that will be Lorong Husong will more to the Indonesia sea level, right? So thank you again. So for further information, you can check our Instagram at oceanography.itb. So see you again next week. Thank you again, Gino, Pak Tubagus, and participant. Stay safe and healthy. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bye-bye. Thank you, everybody.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bye. Thank you, Gino.
Thank you.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
See you next year, Gino. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I'm a bit missed. So when are you going to Indonesia?